What's going on, guys? It's Tom with Stocked Up, and we're here to do this week's recap, although we're going to be doing a recap from the past 2 weeks, so stick with us here. It's going to take a little bit longer than usual, but we're going to be going over the past 2 weeks worth of movement, starting with Monday, July 28th. Looking at the Surge Bot this day, the plays did pretty well. You know, we had some good rips there. A lot of the plays went up well over 30%, but there were some duds. So I'm just going to say July 28th, kind of a mixed day overall. Not the best, not the worst, but SMCI hitting 160% is always solid. Going down to July 29th, I think we had a lot better action that day. CLS ran up 142%, GLW 123%, Spotify 118%, AMD over 100%. So July 29th, a lot better than the 28th. There were some duds mixed in too, but nonetheless, I would say pretty solid for the most part. Going to the 30th here, looking at the surge, we had Spotify with 115% gains, 74% on Peloton, and 57% on MO. The rest were kind of duds there mixed in. Not the best day ever on July 30th. I will say the past few weeks have been a little bit weird to trade, right? We started seeing a lot of big drops out of the stock market, and then now lately we're seeing kind of like a choppy. Over the past 6 trading days, we've went red, green, red, green, red, green. Kind of crazy there, but SPY's going all over the place the past few weeks. And then looking at July 31st to kind of end that week there, sitting at 170% on App Lovin', UNH 159%. The market must have been crazy this day as we saw a ton of call outs from the 31st. And that's a nice recap there, though, looking pretty solid. Getting down onto August 1st, 140% on Coinbase, 125% on AbbVie, 110% on Circle. This day, the SurgeBot did extremely well with almost every play above 50%, besides 2 duds down there. So solid movement there. Love to see that on August 1st. Scrolling down to August 4th, now we're into the next week. Looking at 169% on AEO, 61% on Microsoft, and 48% on Joby. Lots of plays this day ran up over 40%. Circle's move was pretty nice there at 42, Rigetti at 43, and EOSE at 46.67%. Barrick at 4% that day. What was going on, Barrick? Kind of funny there. Going down to the next day. A lot of plays the past few weeks with all this wild price action. VRTX puts killed it this day. August 5th, 353%. That is a huge rip there out of Vertex. Intel, 130%. QBTS, 55%. Intel's had some news recently with Trump and their CEO calling for him to essentially step down, and that there was no other way around it, he said. Kind of insane because of his ties to China. Nonetheless, this day, the calls did well and ran up 130%. Going down to August 6th, looking at the next trading day, 600% out of Walmart, 350% with Apple, 250% with IREN. A couple duds mixed in, but honestly, a lot of amazing plays this day, August 6th. Like to see the SurgeBot capitalize there. Even on Walmart, which was a bit strange, 640%. Walmart is a bit different of a stock, right? It's a bit slower than usual, but nonetheless, 640%. Pretty nice there. Scrolling down even further to the 7th. A lot of plays again this day. A few more duds this day. Granted, I guess there was a lot more call-outs, but nonetheless, a lot of them ran up over 40% with CrowdStrike leading the way, almost 200% there at the top. CAT and NVAX in second there, just over 80% gainers there. And going down to the 8th, final trading day of the week, BMNR 212%, Apple 114%, MU 71.79%. Overall, a pretty good week, I would say, for the SurgeBot. A lot of opportunities last week. A couple weeks ago, I would say it was a bit slower. So the first half of this video, of course, not as hot, I would say, as the past week. The past week, there were just so many opportunities in the overall market. If we go to the SPY, we go to the hourly, we can see how it was a pretty crazy week. We went red on Monday, green on Tuesday, red on Wednesday, and so on, right? It was a fest here. Sorry, I had that a little wrong. It was red Friday, green Monday, red Tuesday, and so on. But a lot of up and down action. If we go to the daily, you can see the candles, how it's red, green, red, green, red, green. Pretty insane week that we've been seeing here over the past 5 or 6 trading days or so. And looking at the theta trades from a couple weeks ago, we can see that the theta trades did very well. Of course, theta trades generally work out. They have a very high chance to win. Essentially, if you look at the probability out of the money, it kind of shows you the overall probability that the play had to win from the first place. And a lot of times we do see them end up winning. So in this case, all of them expired above their strike prices. And that means that number one, you're not getting assigned shares. And number two, you're just walking away with all of the premium. But great week there a couple weeks ago for the theta trades, that week of August 1st expiration. And then, of course, this past week with August 8th's expiration, there was one loser, Teladoc, and I'm not even going to call it a loser, but it was assigned shares nonetheless. In that case, you would get the premium and you would get the shares, and then you'd walk away a happy camper, hopefully, with the shares. Again, these are theta trades. They're plays where you're essentially shorting put options, and you can either get assigned the shares or you walk away with all of your premium. If the stock closes under the strike price at expiration, so like with Oxy here, the 43 strike, if it would have closed under that, then that would mean that you'd get assigned shares, but it didn't in this case. Oxy closed over that, so we ended up taking away all of the profit there. Now with Teladoc, of course, like I said, hopefully you're okay with that. Do not play theta trades unless you're okay taking long-term positions on these stocks, but definitely learn how to sell options. Selling options is one of the best ways to trade, and honestly, it's one of the biggest things that helped accelerate my growth as a trader. So I highly, highly suggest it. Overall, it was a pretty great past couple weeks here. There were a lot of great profits in the profits channel. If you guys have any profits from the bot plays or the theta trades, post them up. I'm sure a lot of people would love to hear about that. Other than that, let's have a great week in the market.